Hey everyone, it's Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here with another recent reads video, numbers 41 to 50. So excited. So let's just jump in. Number 41 is The Appeal by Janice Hallett. This was a buddy read with my friend Sharon from the channel Sharon Dwyer, and this was so much fun. Highly recommend buddy reading this because it was so much fun to go back and forth, like, who did you think did it, what did you think happened. But basically it's set in the town of Lockwood, and it starts with two newcomers and it ends with a tragic death, and it's told in a different format. Like, there's, I guess, the detective or somebody, I'm not quite sure who it is, but he's assigned two law students to the case, and someone has been sent to prison for the murder, but he suspects they're innocent. So he's assigned these two law students to try to figure out what happened, and we follow characters from the local amateur dramatic society, and there is a shady charity appeal for this little girl's medical treatment, and we get all this evidence and we're trying to figure out what happened, and it's told in the format of emails and text messages, bulletin announcements for the play. It was very different, but I absolutely loved it. Sharon made the good point that it kind of felt like you were invading their privacy a little bit because you're reading emails, but I quite enjoyed it, and it was very riveting. So I really want to read the other book that this author has written. I think it's called the Twyford Code, something like that. But I gave this one 5 stars. I would definitely reread it again. I'm glad that I own a copy. I was just hooked from the very beginning all the way to the end. Did not figure out who the murderer was. It was fantastic. It's not a cozy, but it was an excellent mystery. Number 42 is Murder Wears White by Stephanie Blackmore. This is book 2 in the Wedding Planner mystery series, and we follow Mallory Shepard, and she has a wedding planning business with her sister, and it's off to a shaky start when a member of the bridal party drops dead at a food tasting. So this puts a big hitch in the opening of her new B&B and wedding planning business, and she gets involved to solve the murder and clear her name. I really enjoyed this one. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as book 1, but I still gave it 4 stars. The mystery was really fun, and as usual, the characters are quirky. I love the town, so I'm definitely going to read the next book in the series. Number 43. So normally I just put an image of the book cover here, but this was such an accomplishment. I need you to know that I finally finished the books of Jacob. I finally finished it. This thing is huge. It's heavy. I could probably use this like as muscle building. Oh my god, this book. So, I don't even know where to start. So, we're basically following this fake messiah, Jacob Frank. And the story is told through the eyes of his supporters and those who hated him. And historical fiction. It's based on a real person. This is translated from the Polish by Jennifer Croft. And this is my third book by Olga Tokarczuk. Oh my god. I think this is probably my favorite, to be honest. This book was extremely educational, extremely weird, very graphic at times. Jacob was very obsessed with breast milk. That was mentioned a lot. It was a wild ride, a very wild ride. And I will say this was very slow going until I got the audiobook, but that's only because holding this thing up to read it, now that I'm used to reading on my Kindle, was just kind of murder on my wrists. So I blew through most of this book in the month of February. But I do think that it would behoove the reader to not spread it out too much. I've been reading this since December, and I think I spread it out too thin, because when I finally got to the point where I was just kind of blowing through it, I was forgetting things that I'd already read at the beginning of the book. However, the things that happened in the chunk that I read together, I remember a lot better. So I don't think you should try to fly through it, but I also don't think you should spread it out too thin so that you don't forget everything. I think it's more impactful when you read it closer together. Hopefully that makes sense. I literally, when I finished this book, just laid there and was like, what did I just read? But the character work in here was really good. I really love the way that she writes. It's very atmospheric and so memorable. Like, her word choices, there were so many good quotes from this book, and I think she did a fantastic job of bringing this to life, especially for someone like me who's not familiar at all with Polish history. It was very fascinating, and I had never heard of Jacob Frank until I heard about this book, and things like this just fascinate me. I love, history of religion and cults and things like that. I find them so interesting. So this was just right up my alley. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I think I might have appreciated it more had I done more research into the historical background. But all of her books that I've read so far, I've read Drive Your Plow, Over the Bones of the Dead, Flights, and The Books of Jacob. All of them have been solid 4-star reads for me. I just really, really like the way she writes. Number 44 was Ancillary Justice by Anne Leckie. This is book 1 in the Imperial Rach trilogy. I literally listened to this for the Space Sirens book club, and I cannot remember how to pronounce that. This was a really interesting sci-fi book. There's a soldier, Breck, and she's on this quest. There's a starship with artificial intelligence that links these soldiers in the service of the Rach, R-A-D-C-H, which is the empire that conquered the galaxy. And now there's an act of treachery, and there's a lot of questions, and she wants vengeance, and it was a ride. It was kind of puzzly, and I liked that. I also really enjoyed the use of gender in this novel. It was very unique, but I really liked it. I really wanted to like this more than I did, though. And maybe part of it is because I listened to it on audio. Maybe I missed something that would have clicked for me. And I feel like I'm just kind of missing something from the plot, or it just didn't really do it for me. I might continue on with the series, not right away, but it wasn't my favorite thing that we've read for book club, but I am glad that I read it. So overall, I gave that one 3 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Small Country by Gail Fay, translated by Sarah Ardizone. And I read this for the Found in Translation Book Club. This is translated from the French, and it's supposed to be a coming-of-age tale set against the backdrop of the Rwandan genocide and the civil war in Burundi. And this boy is coming of age at a time when all this violence is occurring. And so it opens in 1992 when we follow Gabriel, and he's living in Burundi. And I really wanted to like this. And I listened to this on audio, so I don't know if maybe there was a little bit of a disconnect with the audio, or maybe something was lost in translation. I just felt very disconnected from this book. I feel like the characters weren't as fleshed out as I would have liked, and because of that, I just wasn't connecting with them at all, and I was just really apathetic while I was reading it, which is horrible, because I really was expecting this touching story about a family fleeing their home country for safety in another country. But it really, the way it was told, it felt more like a summary, or like someone telling me what happened instead of fleshing it all out and giving me details. So I think maybe if it had been longer, I would have liked it more. And I feel like maybe that would have given the author time to really incorporate those little details that make a book come alive and make characters connect with the reader. I will say the writing was beautiful. There were some descriptions in there that were kind of poetic, and there were just some lines that were just stunning. Just overall, the book didn't do it for me. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, but I would try this author again because of the writing. Next, I read Put Out to Pasture, which is book 2 in the Farm to Table mystery series by Amanda Flower. This was an e-arc for me, and we follow Shiloh Bellamy, and she has saved her family's farm from financial ruin, but she's still kind of scraping by, and this fall festival that she has organized to try to drum up business comes to a halt when the body of a townswoman is discovered underneath a scarecrow. And the evidence points to Shiloh's childhood friend Christy as the killer. So, this was a fun mystery. However, it feels different than her other series. So Amanda Flower is one of my favorite cozy mystery authors. She writes the Amish Candy Shop mystery series, and its spin-off, the Amish Matchmaker series. And those just feel so cozy, and the characters are just so quirky and lovable and endearing. And in this one, while I did enjoy it, and I enjoy the characters and the mysteries, it wasn't quite the same feel as her other series, even though they're all cozy mysteries, which is why I didn't give it 5 stars. I just wasn't as in love with it as her other series. I still gave this one 4 stars. It's been a solid 4-star series for me. It's just not my favorite of hers, but I will definitely read the next book in the series when it comes out. Next, I read Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Au, and this was an e-arc as well. And this was such a unique reading experience for me. It's a very quiet novel, even though really I think it's a novella because it's about 104 pages. And it's deceptively simple, or it's seemingly simple, but it's actually pretty deep. So we follow this unnamed narrator as she's recounting this trip with her mother to Japan, and as the novel goes on, we start to wonder if the mother is real or if she's imagined, and the timeline is very non-linear. The trip to Tokyo is kind of sprinkled with memories from the narrator's life. The writing was rhythmic yet controlled, and it was well paced, and it had a very elegiac feel to it, and it's reflective and thought-provoking, and it's definitely a book that's going to stick with me. I didn't blow through it per se, but I wanted to pick it up, and I wanted to just be with this character. It was so endearing, and I just really enjoyed this trip with her mother and thinking about everything that the author wanted you to think about. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I would definitely reread it again, and I look forward to reading more from this author. Next, I read Inseparable by Simone de Beauvoir, translated by Sandra Smith. So this was published posthumously. This is for the translated fiction category of the BookTube Prize, so I can't comment my thoughts on this one. Number 49 was Dead on the Vine by L. Brooke White. This is book 1 in the Finn Family Farm mystery series. Say that 5 times fast. So this was interesting because the main character, Charlotte Finn, is a reluctant farmer. She doesn't want to do this, but she's kind of pushed into it because of an inheritance. And she really plans on just selling this farm and getting rid of it, but that's kind of put on hold when she finds a dead body. And this was a middle-of-the-road cozy for me. I think I would have liked it more if I was in a better mindset. I just kind of wanted something to read, and I wasn't fully invested in it. So I think if I read it again, I would like it more. But I gave it 3 stars. There was nothing super special, but nothing horrible about it. It was an entertaining time, and I'm definitely going to continue with the series. And number 50 was The Twilight Zone by Nona Fernandez, translated by Natasha Wimmer. This is another book that is for the translated fiction section of the BookTube Prize, so I also cannot talk about this. So overall, a pretty varied set of books, but I like how much variety I had in this go around, because I feel like at the beginning of the year is very mystery heavy, so I like that we're kind of breaking up the genres, so to speak. So have you read any of these books? If so, please let me know down below. If you'd like to leave an emoji, drop a blue heart emoji, since we had 2 Fitzcarraldo books in this wrap-up. As always, if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.